welcome to DDOCast episode 560, recorded live on Sunday, June 2nd. I'm your host, Patrick. With me this week, we have returning to the show, Draculetta.
Hey, how's it going, Patrick?
Good. Welcome back. The host from DDO Player, or one of the hosts from DDO Players News. Always fun to have you back on the show.
Indeed, yeah, it's been a while since I've been here.
Yeah, it has. And vice versa, I think.
Indeed, I was just thinking that before we started.
This week's screenshot, Dunkelzahn looks over the city of Towers in the 417th screenshot of the week. Thanks for sending this in. No shocker here. A Sharn picture. Winning screenshot of the week. Should be like a shoe-in for the next couple weeks, I would think.
Yeah, it's what I had said on DDO Players News too. I'm like, I'm pretty sure the Chronicle header is going to be Sharn for a while, and most of the screenshots are going to be Sharn. Just saying.
Yeah, be the easy way to do it. We like to talk about Dungeons & Dragons online nearly every weekend. You can catch us through Twitch, YouTube, the DDO forums, iTunes, or from our website, DDOcast.com. DDOcast is hosted by Saber Ears, the awesome podcast hosting network. Shows are usually available within a few days of recording. The next show should be next Sunday sometime. You can subscribe by following us on our social media pages or our website, DDOcast.com, with our calendar. Next Sunday will probably be a little bit fluid like this week was. That's why there wasn't a big announcement or much of an announcement beforehand. Very, very fluid day today for me. Wake up when I want, do the adulting stuff, find out when Drac's available, and just kind of wing it.
Those are the best days though, when you just kind of fly by the seat of your pants.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like fly by wire or seat of the pants or anything like that. It's just like lack of or no unnecessary plans today.
There you go. That's right.
Kind of a thing. So, on the podcast this week, we'll talk about game news, what there is, and talk about community news. But we are going to start. We recorded this last weekend, but we'll start for the primary show. This will be our Masterminds of Sharn review. So we'll be talking about different aspects of Mastermind of Sharn. And this is 4 weeks or 4-part thing. So this will take us through most of June. We'd get all the way through June, except June's a 5-weekend month this week or this time around. Yay, June. In any case, so that's what we'll be talking about going forward for the next couple of shows. It was a lot of fun, I should say, since we recorded this ahead of time. So, yeah, lots of fun. Sharn was a great pack and all that stuff. What did you, I know you haven't run a ton of it, but what are your thoughts so far, Mr. Drac?
I like it a lot. I like the storytelling so far. Really like all the DM work. The voice actors that they got are amazing. DM work is good. Loved the music as well.
Yeah, the music really adds to the atmosphere very well, although
it does.
It's strikingly outside of kind of what I think a lot of our music has been for a long time. So, but yeah, you'll hear more about my thoughts later. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a really solid pack. I think, comparing it, we talked about this in the review a lot. Like comparing it to Ravenloft is hard. Ravenloft has so much behind it. And I think Ravenloft for me is still clearly better than Sharn, but Sharn's a very good pack. It's not to say that it's bad enough. If you are thinking about buying it or not, I do not think you'll be disappointed if you do buy it. A lot of great content. There's more quests than Ravenloft. So that's kind of nice. They're all a lot. I'm surprised at how short they were. A lot of the quests are pretty short.
Yeah, that's like I said, I haven't ran a lot of it yet, but I noticed that, and that was kind of surprising to me too. I'm like, yeah. I guess we have a lot of quests in this, because if you count like the Cogs quest too, but it's like, these are kind of short.
Yeah, they really are. Once you really kind of iron it out and really streamline what you're doing, you can finish. The longest quest might take you 20 minutes, assuming you're not doing it on a really hard difficulty. So.
Which, that's not a bad thing either, per se, really, because I kind of like the medium quest better than like the ones that, are like long, very long, and you're in there for,
Sure.
45 minutes to an hour or whatever.
Sure. Well, let's talk about game news. what little there is. There was a note from Linabelle about the Sharn crafting bits. She realized that she talked about it with the Players Council and then didn't tell anybody else. And of course, the Players Council can't tell us because they're under an NDA.
Mhm.
But she's raising the per chest ingredient drop amount, and the sagas are going to start dropping higher tier ingredients instead of stacks of the lower tiers. Made some pretty good points about the grind, and it definitely seems overshot it quite a bit. That's on her. Happy Tuesday. I mean, that's the hardest. I think that's the hardest thing for them to figure out, right? Like, what's appropriate for how much ingredients, how long do they take, and there's a lot that goes behind that. So, and I think them undershooting it is probably better than overshooting it. And it, look, they're making adjustments. We like that. So there we go. More ingredients for everybody. And there you go. There's game news. Done.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Slow news week. It sounds like
Mhm.
they're already hard at work at the next pack. Although I'm sure there's going to be I would imagine. Well, I don't know. Part of me wants to say that there'll probably be a patch, if not this week, the week after. But I don't know. It might take them a little while longer to get one out. Although I think just because of the ingredients, they might be. I don't think we'll have to wait till the next update. I think they'll want to kind of fix the ingredients, but I don't know. Part of me thinks that maybe they'll try to take in more data regarding the raid and the balance on the raid before they decide to what they're going to put in their next patch. And hopefully the next raid will come with the next patch. Fingers crossed. Sharn's been out for what, 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks, something like that.
Just about, yep.
So if you use Ravenloft as a metric, we should be seeing the next raid soon. Next couple weeks, week or two. And that would be nice. Bonus days. Plus 10% raid XP. Note that's not. That's just like straight up 10%. That's not more people. Each person is 10%. It's just 10%. Through June 2nd. As far as bonus days goes, that's kind of lame. Raids are not
I'm
historically great
glad
XP.
I'm not the only one that thought that.
I can think of 3 raids where people would run for XP. Shroud, Legendary Spine, and Von 5. Other than that, they're not really XP runs. Usually you're running them at cap anyways, so. But, they can't all be winners. The sales for the week. Store more loot, 25% off of character banks, select shared banks, inventory space, and bags through June 6th. In case you're wondering, they are not the new shared banks. At least the 2 newest ones are not on sale. Boo. You can get a weekly coupon code for Lasting Potion of Resist Electricity plus 10 times 5 with the coupon code ELECTRIC. I got the acid one a couple months ago. Think like, oh, maybe I'll use this in heroics if I die and I don't have resistances. And I still have them all. Yeah, that's going well. How it goes. Also, through today, the time of this recording, June 2nd, you can get autos boxes. They will go away at the end of today, so sometime Monday morning. In case you're wondering how stuff like that works, so they'll tell you that the bonus or the sale or whatever goes through a day, right? What really happens is the next day, a certain person wanders into the office at a certain time and gets their stuff, gets organized, probably make sure they have their coffee, and then they get in and they turn things off. So that's kind of how that works. So sometimes they last a little bit longer. Usually go into the morning Eastern time a little bit because of that. So anyways, there you go. The chat is saying that is it incorrect they were seeing plus 5 per person in the raid? Maybe. This is what they announced is plus 10%. If it's plus 5% per person in the raid, that's a lot better.
Heck yeah, it is.
Uh, Still, I mean, you're not typically running a lot of raids for XP, but yes, plus 5% per person is significantly better than just plus 10%. So, community news. Let's talk about the 335th Chronicle. The High Lords of Malkir host many public raid events every week. You can check out more information on their raid nights. I believe that means that their teaching raids is probably over, so you have to catch their normal raiding time. But you can always catch their raid nights or their teaching raids on YouTube on Voodoo's page. The comment: would you rather fight a group of goblins or a group of kobolds? I mean,
Okay,
I've fought plenty of kobolds. I'll go for goblins if we're talking about DDO.
Exactly. Because I love kobolds as next as the next person, but I love the sounds that the goblins make, so I'm gonna go with goblin.
I think the kobolds have better sound effects and dialogue. But although that may be colored from the kobold mining quests, so challenges.
Well, yeah.
You know, we're due for a challenge. Use a new challenge or two.
Ooh, a goblin challenge, maybe.
I mean, I don't need a reskinned. I mean, the kobold mining quests are fine. I don't need you to reskin it or anything. But yeah, I don't know. All right, the guild for the week. My apologies in advance. We'll say it confidently and quickly. The new guild, Quellar de Lochcid, now open on Sarlona. They will be accepting just about anyone new or old who wishes to have fun in a friendly environment. If you're new, they'd love to teach you what we know and learn more together. If you're a veteran of the game, we'd love to learn from you. We want this to be as open as possible to anyone who wants to join, but there is one rule we're going to impose. Be a decent human, elf, gnome, etc., and treat other guild members with respect. Semantically, if you put "and" in there, that becomes 2 rules. Just saying. To join, just message either Nixu or Wayloon in game for an invite. Wish you guys the best. Thanks for making me read in a language that I cannot.
You did smashingly well, though.
Yeah, not even attempt to try to guess what language it's in. Anyways, fansite news. Let's see. You can watch Fridays on Ice. They had episode 125 with Batchlagor. You can watch Barbarian SWP. That's Dia de Reaper Colin Hibernum. Let's see. You can listen to Players News 224. This was the one before the one you guys recorded today. That was with Lessa and Rent and Tay. And about your static group.
Mm-hmm.
Which I guess got rebranded. It wasn't really clear. Did you actually rebrand it with a new name, or?
Yes, we did.
Okay. Let's see. You can watch Bard Life with Doug Glendower. The Damsels of DDO had an episode on May 26th. DDO Sunday with Alex and Lynn. Freedio also had an episode. Also, you can listen to DDOcast 559. That was our last show that concluded our series on Reaper status update. It was just kind of a check-in of where Reaper mode was and how it was doing in the game environment. It was kind of a fun discussion. Also, you can watch Heroes of Battle Rise 2.1 Out of the Abyss Part 1. That's our original D&D night on DDO Stream series. We went back and rebranded it Heroes of Battle Rise to make it easier to find. And we back cataloged everything. So Heroes of Battle Rise and all of the other D&D nights are now available on YouTube. So you can watch them all on the D&D nights playlist. We took a break for Heroes of Battle Rise, and now we're back with season 2. Arbitrary numbering is awesome. I mean, at a certain point, it just makes the numbering easier, right? Instead of having, and if you take a break, I used to do so. DDO Splat used to just be numbered. We were getting way up there in numbers, and then we took a break and came back. And was like, oh, let's this be season 2, and it made sense because things were changing, and I think that was when we stopped doing permadeath. Because our style of play and permadeath are hilariously incompatible. Or hilariously compatible, depending on how you think
I'm
about
gonna
it.
say it depends on your point of view there, but yeah.
Sure, but if you're doing a quote TV show, how many times do you really want to watch Cortho? People play the same
That's
people play
right. You
Corthos.
gotta be entertaining, so you give the people what they want, you
Yeah,
know?
we wanted to run another quest. It didn't have anything to do with anybody else. We still
I
die a
like the
lot, so that's
we
fine.
there.
Uh, I mean, it's fun playing with those guys, but I wanted to play other stuff with those people too. So, uh, we ran through Ravenloft. That was fun. That probably never would have happened. In fact, I think we wiped in Ravenloft. Anyways, other stuff. There's another weekly Wednesday lunchtime live stream. There you go. There's the Chronicle. Drac, why don't you tell us a little bit of what's DDO Players news up to? And specifically, you have some stuff going on for Gen Con coverage.
Yes, the big thing right now that we are doing is every Monday night, you can watch Pine Leaf and I over on my Twitch page. We are running through Sharn, and we came up with the amazing idea that kind of happened by accident. We're calling it Sharn Heaven and Hell because I'm playing a Warlock Tiefling, of course, and Pine Leaf is playing an ASMR Ranger. So we call it Sharn Heaven and Hell. And we're doing that. So that is live every Monday night at 8 p.m. over on my Twitch. And then I also upload it to my YouTube afterwards if you want to watch that. So that's the newest thing we got going on over at DDO Players. And then, yeah, you did mention Gen Con. That is coming up quick. Origins is next weekend. That is another tabletop game convention. We're going to be covering that as well. I'm going to be heading to Columbus, Ohio next weekend to cover that, and then Indianapolis in August for Gen Con. I'm pretty sure at this point, everybody that listens to this show knows DDO Players is kind of different. We focus a lot on Dungeons and Dragons tabletop and tabletop games as well. So we're kind of like a hybrid site, and the podcast is kind of a hybrid as well too. Usually about the first 20 25 minutes of the show, depending on how much game news there is all about DDO. And then the later half of the show, we talk about tabletop games. We talk about like geek things. So, and surprisingly, it works well. People really seem to like it. I was kind of worried about doing it, to be honest, but I slowly started smattering it in, and it helps that there's a lot of crossover between the DDO audience and Dungeons and Dragons tabletop, and then tabletop gaming as well too. So yeah, we do convention coverage, and how I do that is I actually, for the game conventions, Origins and Gen Con are the major two that we cover. I go and interview game companies and game designers, and we find out about their new games, and we talk to them, we show off the new games. Then you can see the videos over on DDO Players.
Yeah, and so Gen Con, let's see, Gen Con's when? Mid-August? Early August? One of the two.
Early August,
Yeah.
August 1st through the 5th.
And did you talk about your GoFundMe?
I did not. I didn't know if you wanted me to talk
Have
about that
at
or
it.
not, but yeah, we're running a GoFundMe right now to kind of help with this convention coverage, because a lot of people probably do not realize everything we do on DDO Players is done out of pocket. Patrick can agree with us. Probably, it's expensive to do this. I mean, we have to have web hosting. We don't do our podcast on Twitch. We do it on a platform called Mixler, which is basically Twitch, but it's just audio. We have to pay for that year. We have other hosting involved. So we have a Patreon for that. Everything we raise for that goes just for web hosting and such like that. All this convention coverage comes out of my pocket, and it's kind of expensive, unfortunately, because you have hotel. I have to get a hotel. I have to drive there, so I have to pay gas. Have to park when I'm there. Have to eat. Usually don't eat a lot because it's expensive, but I do have to eat. So I decided, I'm just going to try this and see how it works. So yeah, we have a GoFundMe. I'll give the link to Patrick. He can put it in the show notes. It's kind of a weird long URL, but anything you give is going to go straight to all of the things that I just mentioned. So it's going to help cover, my parking fees, my gas, anything you can imagine, any cost involved going to, if you've ever gone to a convention, anything you've ever paid out when you were at a convention, that's what the GoFundMe is going to go for.
Yeah, it's not cheap. I think DDOCast is actually almost in the black. And that goes back to when I started hosting the show.
Well, congratulations for that.
Like $1 away from being in the black.
Yeah, there's a lot, it's stuff that people don't think about, all the money involved in doing a podcast and a website. And then like said, you throw on all the convention coverage and stuff that we do. And yeah, it kind of adds up after a while.
It does.
I mean,
we're not paying to go to any conventions or anything, so that helps.
Right. Well, yeah. See, I got that on top of everything else. But and don't get me wrong, I love doing it. We're still gonna do the convention coverage and everything. This is just gonna kind of help defray some costs. So far, we've got a few donations. I put like a $600 goal. That's where the both conventions, and as of this recording, we're at like $100 out of our $600 goal. So
sure,
any little bit helps.
Yes, it truly does. Contrary to what some people may believe, twitching is most people who do things that are twitching and do not end up with deep pockets from said activities.
Very few people do, but yes. I mean, there's some people that are making bank doing it, but not this
us.
guy. Exactly. Unfortunately.
If you would like to change that, please email us at DDOcast@gmail.com or DDOplayersnews@gmail.com. Did I get that right? No.
No.
Podcast at DDOplayersnews.
Podcast at DDOplayers.com.
Dang it. Close.
Close.
Right, yeah. If you'd like to give us deep pockets, we would love to have that conversation with you. But
we would, yes.
We'll do amazing things. It'd be great.
We will.
In any case, let's see. DDOcast news. DDOCast should be back middle of June. We are targeting the week after Father's Day. We may be moving nights. I'm still not sure what that's going to look like. I have some things I got to figure out on my end. We're going to figure that out. Also, the Ultimate Sharn contest. We got to give away an Ultimate Sharn code and had a contest, and it was great. Some people submitted photos of themselves. You can check out you can check out episode 558 on the DDO forums to see all the pictures if you would like to.
Yeah, there was some really good entries you got. I was going through that thread, and I was amazed at some of the stuff
there
people
were some
came
creative
up with
ones.
for that. There was very much so.
The bear on the
Good
toilet
job,
was
all.
pretty interesting.
I think that was my favorite one. I think
it was also Lessa's favorite one.
of course it was.
The damsels, Lessa, Mithri, and Saba, picked their favorites, and they each got 500 points. Those winners were Slaceris, Claver, and Davy MOC. And the Ultimate Sharn winner was Rex. So congratulations. Thanks for playing with us and submitting pictures. And thanks to SSG for giving us some stuff to give away. That was a lot of fun. I always like giving stuff away. Bunch of fun. Let's see. Lightning Post had Avamar wrote in regarding our episode from last week and Reaper mode. And they said, I think adding Reaper difficulty to the game was a great idea. It gives players new challenges, which is always a good thing. It's true, not everybody likes it, but hey, you don't have to run it if you don't want to. And I really like those Reaper mobs. It makes the game more interesting. Running quests on R10 is much more fun. Planning how to take each group of mobs, no zerging. Even though it takes more time, the satisfaction from completion is priceless. Where's the fun if you zerg the same quest over and over again? One thing you'd like to see implemented is the account shared Reaper XP. Starting new alt characters from scratch is very difficult right now. Just think of how much more work needs to be done. All those past lives, Reaper XP from 0. Anyways, thanks for making the game so awesome. Yeah, that's been a kind of a common. Jerry mentioned on the show when he was hosting a little while ago this idea of having kind of a shared XP bank for some of the stuff. The idea being to help alts and stuff like that. I don't know. I think I kind of go back and forth on that because I think there's some value in having character-based things. I'm not sure it makes. I'm not sure how to make the shared bank thing work in a way that makes a lot of sense. I guess you just make it a pool and just pull from whatever. I don't know. I certainly wouldn't be against it. I have plenty of alts.
Don't we all?
I don't know. The problem though is, does it cheapen players' experience that have already gotten to benchmarks with Reaper XP? I mean, I don't think so. I mean,
no, not really. I guess if it depends, if they would implement it, how they would do it. But
sure.
I mean, you still earn that XP one way or the other. You know,
it's true. It's very true. But there's a fair amount of power there, so yeah, I don't know. I don't really care one way or the other. I am all for people having alts. That's kind of the biggest place I land on, and I think alts are more fun, and I think anything you can do to help keep players playing alts from falling too much farther behind people playing one character, I think that ends up with a better, healthier game. And I think if more people are playing more alts, I think you have a healthier game. Of course, just having more people playing is a healthier game. So, and that's, I think, where the biggest problem with the game is right now. So, not to say that we're unhealthy, just more people playing, more better. All right. That'll wrap up the show. We already gave you a chance to plug a bunch of stuff. Is there anything else you want to plug?
No, not really. I'll just give the website again. It's ddoplayers.com, and my Twitch is twitch.tv/Draculetta_72. That's if you want to watch the Sharn Heaven and Hell live Monday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern.
I'll give a shout out to D&D night on DDO stream Sundays 7 p.m. Eastern time, twitch.tv/DDO stream. Sponsored by Fantasy Grounds, who, by the way, congratulations to Fantasy Grounds for their successful Kickstarter campaign. They raised like $500,000 and blew away like 10 or 11 unlock tiers or whatever they call them.
Stretch goals.
Stretch goals. There we go. There's the term. So looking forward to Fantasy Grounds Unity coming out, and you'll see that on D&D night on DDO stream eventually, as soon as we can get our hands on it, probably. So it should be a lot of fun. So thanks for listening to the show. Thanks to Drac for joining me today. Thanks to all the contributors for DDOCast, especially those who were helping out with our Masterminds of Sharn review. We had a lot of fun with that. Looking forward to sharing part 1 with you. Thanks also to Sailing Stone Games and as Wizards of the Coast, and to Cyberairs for hosting the podcast. If you'd like to support the show, you can visit our website, DDOCast.com, or you can support us on Patreon. If you have a DDO-themed webpage, or you Twitch DDO and you'd like to be featured on our website, you can email me at ddocast@gmail.com. You can also hit us up at ddocast.com for our show notes, MP3s, our calendar, previous shows, and other fun stuff. And if you'd like to be a part of the show, if you have a comment, you can either comment on this episode, if there's a question you'd like to hear us answer, a topic you'd like to hear us discuss, or you just want to say hi. You can leave a comment, or you can email us at ddocast@gmail.com. You can also find me on social media to find out latest cast updates. At DDOCast on Twitter is the best place. Apologies, I am... It's a busy time of year, so I'm a little less good about being on social media and updating our calendar, but I try. And with that, stay tuned for part 1 of our Masterminds of Sharn review. Hello, and welcome to our review of Masterminds of Sharn. This will be part 1 of 3 or 4. We're kind of see where this ends. We've got a full house today. This is going to be a lot of fun. We'll just kind of jump right in and introduce who we have with us. We have Axel.
What's up, everyone? Thanks
Uh,
for having me, Patrick.
Yeah, welcome back. You have your own YouTube channel, do a lot of DDO YouTubing. So we might jump into that a little later. We have Arcot.
Good morning, Patrick. Thanks for having me as well.
Yeah. We have Nimvind.
Merry Nimbus.
And we have Asheris.
Hey, thanks for having me back.
Yeah, great. This should be a lot of fun. There's a lot to talk about in Sharn. And I mean, so we've got, just to kind of give a quick review of what Sharn entails. There's 9 story quests. Did I count that right? 9? Yeah, 9. There are 8 Cogs quests. There's the Cogs Explorer area, and a raid. A whole bunch of new loots. The loot Tetris is strong with this expansion, which we'll talk about
no
later.
kidding. Jeez.
Maybe a little too excessive, but we'll get to that later. Really quick, let's just go around the table and give us your first. And I'm kind of springing this on him, somewhat intentionally so. Give us your first impression, like right out of the gate. You walked into Sharn for the first time. What were your thoughts on that? Axel, why don't you kick us off on this?
Well, I guess first of all, I walked in and I guess it doesn't have the kind of esteem of Ravenloft, but when I started getting into the quests, I did really like them. I guess going through the quests, there was nothing too crazy, revolutionary, but at the same time, the quests are all really well done. The monsters are very, very good. The mob diversity is very good. There's nothing annoying in the quests. They're fun to run. They're fun to run repeatedly. I don't have
pick a bone with that. There's nothing annoying in the quest.
Oh well, except for I can see one exception, one quest. There might be some exceptions, but no. I mean, I don't have many complaints. It's been really fun so far.
Arcot?
When I entered Sharn, I was expecting to enter a taller Stormreach. But you had to go to walk to the different quarters and go to the different bars in the quarters, all that sort of stuff that you experienced when you walked into Stormreach, for the first time, or after you got out of the harbor, way back when. But this, everything is grouped so closely together that I don't really feel like I'm in another city. I feel like I'm maybe in another quarter of Stormreach.
Yeah, that's my one complaint, by the way. If I had one of my few complaints.
So it feels small, is what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah, it's small, but it's supposed to be the largest city, in Eberron. So that was a bit disappointing for me. I wouldn't call it annoying, but it was disappointing. I've got other things that were annoying that we'll get to later.
Sure. Asheris, what about you?
Yeah, I walked in and I really liked the visual aspects of it. That was kind of what struck me first. They did a really great job, I thought, with some of the graphics on this. So I enjoyed that. I agree with the comments about the size of the open public areas. I didn't get the feeling of the expansiveness of it. Some of the clips they showed pre-release, made it feel like it was going to be this dramatic, area where we're going to be able to run across these bridges, and that there's this scope and size to the public area that just doesn't exist. It's not probably even as big as Evening Star in that regard, which is a small village. So I think that was kind of surprising. What I did see, I liked. When we start getting into the quests, I will talk about the fact that I felt the size and scope of Sharn more in some of the quests, and they thought they did a good job in Quest of really building that out and expanding the world of Sharn in that way. But I would have liked to have seen the adventure area be bigger. But the music also hit me initially. I like the music. I do like the visuals of it. Those were some of the really cool aspects on first impression.
Yeah, I think the first impression with me also was the public area was small, and even the quests are fair. Like they show different areas, but they also feel very small. With a couple of exceptions, they all feel like they're contained into these smaller areas. It does kind of give you an idea of kind of where things are, or it gives you an idea of like how big Sharn is, but it feels very disjointed. Like you don't know, because you get teleported into the quests. Like there's a club, right? But you just get teleported there, so you don't really know where it is relative to the public area. So it kind of disjoints everything. I did note that the music kind of stood out to me. I like the music, but the public area music was a little jarring. It felt a little different than anything that else, which is fine. But
Yeah, it had this like grandiose feeling to it.
yeah, right. Like it was like this
Yeah,
big
it was
band kind of like
where's the orchestra?
weird thing going on. Like this isn't DDO. This is something else. Nimbin, what about you? Why don't you close us out here with this little segment?
For my first impression is I enjoyed that the visuals, because it was unique. It didn't feel like I was in Stormreach. It didn't feel like I was in Ray. Like it was unique. Um, yeah, I expected the city of towers instead of a block in a square. But compared to Ravenloft's public areas, which is like a tower room and two taverns, it's kind of big.
Sure.
For quest wise, it's up there in the top two with Menace of the Underdark. If you include the challenges with quest content, it's pretty big. It's not the biggest expansion, but it's definitely up in the top three contenders of expansions. Shadowfell always, or Wayloon Shadowfell Conspiracy being always at the bottom of my list.
May it ever
So
stay there.
yes, and please SSG, don't make something worse than that. um, so I was actually really happy. I didn't really paid attention to the music as much as I paid attention to the new fiddle music for the iconic
Oh, sure.
tiefling.
Yeah.
Which I heard. Well, when I did my first look in Sharn, I had most of SSG in the our Twitch stream, so they were letting us know like they had a specific, like they had a person that knew a person that did violin work, and they got that person in, and they actually did most of this. So like I appreciated the connectivity between the iconic Tiefling's fiddle and the music of Sharn. I didn't know that it was basically the same person, so that was really nice to learn. And I guess my experience with it was a little different than most people because I had SSG with me. Basically, I had Linabelle, Cordovan, and all that. Like Cordovan was jumping around, but we had Coco Mojobo and No Bob and all that watching us and critiquing us and letting us know we missed stuff. So like it was kind of a weird experience having the developers kind of like, oh, you guys messed up.
Sure. We were going to talk about quests next, but I kind of want to expand a little bit on the public area because it seems to be a common theme here. Yeah, it does feel small. I think part of the reason why they did that is to make it easier to kind of navigate and get around. On the one hand, I kind of liked that there's like two quest portals, in the sense that it makes it pretty easy to figure out where you need to go. There's not a lot of things to learn and get lost in. But do you guys think that kind of has a negative impact in the same kind of, in the sense that it makes it feel smaller?
I kind of hope that it's going to be like Evening Star, where they're going to expand upon it later. They say the next pack is going to be Sharn, and there's a gate at the end next to the hireling vendor in the beginning area, and I'm hoping that just lifts, and then there's going to be a pack of quests over there.
Well, but can you even get into the clifftop area without the pack?
Yes.
Okay, I thought you couldn't even get to there. I figured there, because there's the cliff side, there's the docks, which, by the way, I found out the docks existed like 2 days ago.
Oh, yeah, that's where the altars and crafters
Yeah.
and stuff.
No, that's what I was looking for. I was like, where's the crafting going? What's in the docks? I'm like, okay, I'm in the cliffside docks. Like, no, the docks. Where are the docks? So someone had to show me. I'm like, oh, look, there's a whole different area I haven't even been in yet.
I did the same thing trying to find the raid entrance.
Oh, sure.
But no, yeah, I agree with you guys. The thing with this is you got to balance convenience with immersion,
Mm-hmm.
and anytime you go more in one direction or the other, you're going to lose some of the other. I do think, and this is I will say a lot of positive things about the expansion. This is definitely my biggest criticism is, yeah, the public area should have been bigger. They should have done more to spread things out. I mean, I know it's convenient to have every single little quest person there in
Sure.
a semicircle, but at the same time, it's like, come on, we should have reasons to go around the city. Maybe have some shops around, maybe have some NPCs and shops that you got to go to. Just have more things in the city, more reasons to run around. Yeah, I think they went a little too convenient with it. And definitely the quest entrances, there should be more diversity there. It shouldn't just be the same place. I didn't like that.
Has anyone ever looked like when you're going for like instead of going down the spiral stairs and stuff, like you notice that there's gargoyles flying above you when you just
Mhm.
jump down to the I think that's really nice. I have to like those details kind of I made me appreciate the smallness. And like I said, I felt like it was the public areas were bigger than Ravenloft's public areas, which is just like two buildings and like a Van
It's
Richten's
true. Yeah.
towers. Um, so like I totally agree. I feel like it should be bigger, but I'm also giving them, some rope by saying, maybe in your future packs, opening it up just like you did with Thunderhome and mountain things,
Stormhearth.
that mountain thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, they did mention. Go ahead.
I think there's when you look at Ravenloft, right? You've got these small little public areas, but if you go in the explorer area, that map tells you where those public areas are relative to each other, and all of the quests are out there. So you end up with this spatial awareness of you understand where the quests are relative. I mean, you get to teleport there, which is nice because it's freaking huge. But it gives you that massive scale, right? And I think that's what's missing from Sharn.
Yeah, if I could chime in on that, one of the things that I miss from that they used to do a long time ago was the idea of a map of Stormreach, so you understood where all the different areas relate to each other. And I think the marketplace kind of lays that out. But even some of the smaller areas they've added after the facts, where they filled in various holes in the map that sit between like the marketplace and the harbor. But even when you were traveling to places like Will and Stand or Three Barrel Cove or something like that, a map would pop up while on your travel screen that would kind of show you where this is in the world. And they've really gotten away from that. And I wish that they would have continued to do more of that because I always really enjoyed that. Almost kind of like in Indiana Jones when they have the map and the little dots showing where he's going as he's flying around the world. I think that that really does give you that immersion and it gives you that sense of the story and what's happening.
Yeah, they seem to be, to some extent, they seem to be trying to get away from the lore. Having said that, at least in some ways they're trying to do that, but in other ways they seem to be really trying to stick with it because they've got the cogs down pretty good as far as I can tell, and the story itself is also very cohesive. So I agree with the sheriffs. I think that little bit about, hey, tell us more about the world in which we're venturing by showing us these places. I think that would have been helpful too.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if it's either they're getting away from the lore as much as I feel like they're making a lot of decisions from more of a game design perspective as opposed to that immersion perspective that kind of Axel was talking about. Let's jump into the quests, and we're gonna do this in two sections, right? So right now let's talk about the story quests, and we'll come back to the cogs and the cogs quests later. What do you guys think about the storyline questing?
I felt like it was quick. Like honestly, if I wasn't just waiting for Ginger Spice to read every single piece of dialogue, the quest would go by real fast, and I wouldn't have gathered that there was a story. Like I felt like uh, but like once you go through it a couple of times, you kind of actually feel like you're opposing Ocean's 11, right? Like each of the chain 1 quests, you kind of get introduced to Urk, and you get introduced, and then chain 2, you kind of like get really introduced to, like, there's a Minotaur in the last quest, right, that I don't remember seeing until I did best laid plans like 16 times just to get a pair of boots. And then if you go into the office fast enough, the Minotaur's there. So I'm like, oh, okay, so this is starting to make sense. But the first time through, I feel like it's just too fast for me to gather a story.
Well, for me personally, it took a while to go through it. First time, I soloed everything, and I flower sniffed everything. I read all the dialogue and everything. So, I think, yeah, first or second time through, I don't agree. I think it's plenty long enough. But yeah, there's definitely quests that are very zergable. They're definitely simpler. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but compared to Ravenloft, I would say they're simpler. Not as, like, you don't have a quest like Invitation to Dinner or something where it's extremely easy
Amber Temple.
Yeah, to where you can just run around for hours. So I don't know, they're good quests. The mob diversity is good. They threw some new interesting monsters at us. They even threw some cool one, like reskinned ones, and also like freaking dinosaurs.
Spoilers.
Oh, well, sorry. Yeah, I mean, I don't
fine.
have many complaints. It's just if you wanted something that's really like more complex, like Ravenloft-esque, don't expect that. But if you want things that are very zergable, very farmable, not too long, maybe better for shorter play sessions, then this might be your thing.
The quests itself were okay. There were a couple of ones that were very, very linear. You go down this one tunnel or this hallway, really, and you have to go, and you can only go to the end where you get the evidence of the murders. This is the one where the female tiefling, she's an inquisitive, yeah, and you have to go down this hallway, fight some stuff, and get to the end, gather the information, which is right out there in front. You don't really have to even look for it. Then you got to run back to her, and then she sends you down this other corridor. So it was very, very linear. It was, honestly kind of boring. Another quest similar to that, it was when you had to go and guard. Oh God, not it was the woman who was singing in the middle.
Echo or Encore.
Same old song.
Yeah, Encore. Yeah, same old song. You got to, basically you had to go run around the different this nightclub basically, and you looked at the map, and there were little red dots, and you had to go, there and find these portals and defeat the monsters. So it didn't really seem like there was a lot of options. I mean, yeah, maybe you could run a different route to get to the the portal and the and the harpy and whoever she brought. Yeah, these quests were not as good as Ravenloft, that's for sure.
I enjoyed most of the quests the first time through. I do enjoy the story. It's not as detailed or epic of a story. It doesn't feel like as Ravenloft. I feel like the battle against Strahd, you really felt this feeling of, this guy's extremely powerful. He's, awful, and you're trying to fight him from being able to escape. And there felt like there was some real weight to the story. Vaunt is not quite as intimidating in a lot of ways.
You don't even fight him either, right?
Yeah,
like that,
no.
I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
Yet.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what Raid 2 does, but yeah.
Well, he's dead. He dies in the end of the chain. Spoilers.
Yeah. So I think I'm kind of a little feeling that the story is not as interesting as the Ravenloft story was, although I did enjoy the story in a lot of ways. But I enjoyed it more for the atmosphere of it, and I found a lot of the stories, a lot of the quests interesting. But as our cat was mentioning, the actual mechanics of a lot of them were somewhat repetitive, or kind of things we had seen before. And I think he picked a couple of the ones that I didn't enjoy very much, like Same Old Song and Red Rain. But there were some quests that I did find more interesting, and certainly there were some new mechanics as well. I think we're going to go quest by quest later on, and we can talk about those ones. So I did like some of the new mechanics that were in there, or some of the quests that weren't linear. I'm a big fan of non-linear quests.
Well, go ahead and be specific, because we're not going to go through like quest by quest.
Okay, all right. Well, so the sky sleds, obviously, those are
Sure.
awesome. And I'm kind of bummed we only had it in the one quest, but
Right?
it was the. I mean, I don't understand why we couldn't have those in the open area. And that would be really awesome if we could fly around just
Like a
the
tavern rent a sled.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like those little bikes you see in cities nowadays. We can go up and get one and ride them around. Have sleds just hanging out. Sure, why not?
You mean the bikes
I
that
mean,
are like bike litter all over the place in those cities?
Yeah, they're
Or
blue
scooters.
bikes or something. Yeah.
maybe they're not as good. We don't have those in my city, so I could be wrong. Maybe it's a public nuisance. Who knows? Um, but yeah, I would have thought that would have been cool to have one of those. And I understand they can't be in every quest because they can break certain functionality that you need when you want to keep the team ground based. But I did like that quest. I like the one in the theater too, where you're running around trying to get backstage and such. That one was a little bit more fun, a little bit more open to me than some of the other ones. But I mean, I don't know. I really liked them on the first two run throughs, and as I'm flagging more characters or as I'm starting to farm loot, I'm finding those shortest paths. There's the one too where the dwarf. You start off in the apartment, and then you have to go find the lady in black. That one area where you go down below, that's a little bit more open as well, which is kind of nice again. But you can also find the shorter paths on that. I think that I think for farming, there's definitely good quests from that perspective. I like the cogs a lot. We haven't really talked much about that. That's a fun adventure area. At least I've enjoyed it so far. So
I think the thing that
that's my
sure. I think the things that stood out for me for the quests are they're smaller quests. There's not we talk about Ravenloft, right? Like there's a lot more variety in length of quests when you start talking about Invitation for Dinner and Raven at the Door and Amber Temple. Like these are fairly big spaces that are non-linear. There is a lot of non-linearness to the quests, but they're also pretty easy to optimize. I did appreciate that there were a lot of kind of hidden choices that you can do. So like what I mean by that is in Red Rain, there's a fight that you can skip if you have diplomacy. You can talk to the guy in Reach for the Sky and get a backstage pass and kind of change how that quest operates and what you can do in the quest and make it a little shorter. And so there's some things like if you do a little exploring, you can find more stuff, more chests, and I actually just found a new chest that I didn't know existed. Two of them in the last couple of days. So there's some stuff there that you can kind of, if you look around, you can find some more goodies and stuff like that, which I kind of like. But there's definitely like I'm really surprised by how short everything is. I do want to highlight though. I really liked the use of map indicators. So Arcot mentioned it in Same Old Song, right? Like there's the dot pops up on the map, so you know where to go fight something. Or in Just Business, when you're roaming around on the sky sleds, right? Like with the sky sleds, it really opens up that quest and where things can hide from you. And having the map indicators was really helpful in figuring out where the things are that you need to kill.
Yeah, I really like those too.
One thing I would say that's different between Ravenloft and this is, and you mentioned it really well with Invitation to Dinner, especially, or with Amber Temple, is the lack of the variation in the run. The use of the cards in several different quests, because it was used also in the one at the end of the Ravenloft chain, the monastery quest, where you have different objectives or things are moved around or you have to go to different places. So every run can be different. Maybe that's because Amber Temple got, create a problem in this regard. But I noticed a distinct lack of that, and which is a shame because I really enjoyed that. Even going all the way back to Shavrath 1, I love the way that Bastion's map changed, or you had to, you could pick off the table what you wanted, and then you got a different end boss, or in Genesis Point, you do different levers and you end up with a different end fight. I like that variability and that ability for you to impact how the quest turns out so that reruns can be unique and fun.
There is an amount of that. Like we hadn't gotten to the cogs yet. In roll call, there's 2 different maps depending on which pipe opens up. And Same Old Song, I've ransacked it on 3 tunes, and the portals have groupings. They don't show up in the same spot. They show up in the same area.
That's
But
like
not
you're talking about
necessarily
things that
same
are
spot.
really like roll call's a little bit bigger, but like the thing in Same Old Song, like feels like such a minor change compared to kind of what Ash is talking about. Like, where's the thing in Amber Temple that you have to go find, being in one of 12 different places and having a very different run. So
that's why I said it is in different levels. And like like we mentioned, Reach for the Sky, there's 3 entrances to Reach for the Sky. You can actually go all the way up on the tower, go through the ship, clear out your exit area, and then go to this the part in the stage, get the thing, and then your exit area is only covered with Forge Wraiths and not Vaunt people and all that.
Sure.
So like there's this there's an amount of it, but I felt like they didn't go too crazy on it because there is people to this day that still hasn't figured out Amber Temple, and I felt like they wanted to provide a product that you can enjoy when you buy it, but everyone that buys it can enjoy it. You know what I mean? Like people who don't have the mind to understand the certain levels of randomness, and I respect that. There's also another thing I wanted to touch on that was mentioned earlier. About how Ravenloft felt a little bit heavier than Sharn. I felt like Ravenloft has a history that stretches back to like the mid '80s, right? Like that was the first Ravenloft Strahd like, module. Well, like Sharn and Eberron is early 2000s, so like a lot of this is kind of like a lot of us pen and paper players actually don't really feel attached or the heaviness of any Eberron thing because for most of us it's new. Like most of us are like sworn in by Greyhawk even and so it's the comparison between Ravenloft and Sharn when it comes to story content is outrageous because Strahd has a rich history, 2 big module packs, um and Tower of the City of Towers, I feel like is only big because they only really mapped out one continent in Eberron.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, and
it's
go
almost a
ahead.
little unfair to compare to Ravenloft because I think most people would agree that some of the kind of richer, more interesting packs that they've done are the classic packs because they have that not just that history, but they've had time. Like those adventures have had time to be refined and kind of tuned and have that very pen and paper feel, which a lot of people are really interested. Whereas it's not to say that the devs are bad at creating stories and arcs and stuff, but they don't have like there's a noticeable difference when you're coming up with a story arc in maybe a year compared to something that's been developed and refined since the 70s or 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm not even much of a pen and paper player, and for me, definitely, something like Ravenloft just has more of an epic feel than
Sure.
Sharn does, and I just wanted to point out that doesn't mean that the content is any worse than Sharn necessarily. Just based on that, it's just I think that Ravenloft just has an inherent advantage just because it has that epic feel. You have a really identifiable villain, in Strahd that really helps drive that pack along, and you don't really have that in Sharn, and that doesn't make the content worse. It does hurt the immersion, I think, but that's not really to the discredit of any of the developers, I don't think, in terms of quest design.
I don't think it is either.
I agree with Axel. I feel like another thing that kind of like subliminally led to a lot of letdown in Sharn is that, like, for instance, their splash screen had Salimus and Jeets, so they weren't in there, and then Sharn Syndicate was in there, and there was just so many things that I expected to be in Sharn, and once we got into Sharn, it wasn't there. Perception over versus reality kind of happened, and I was like, okay, the reality is this is our Sharn. The perception is the Sharn that I thought I was getting was not going to happen.
I believe that the Sharn Syndicate, the people behind the Sharn Syndicate series, are the Boromir clan. I think. I seem to remember Knockback saying something to that effect. So they're there. It's just they don't call them the Boromir clan in the Sharn Syndicate.
Well, that would make sense because the Boromars are the folks that stole the what do you call it, the beacon. So they're clearly have a presence in Stormreach. So the Sharn Syndicate would match up with the Boromar clan. So
sure. So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna cut this segment here. We'll be back to talk about part 2 we'll continue going on through this. Anything you guys want to give a quick shout out to before we close out for this show? Check out YouTube, Axel's YouTube channel. Check out Nimvin's YouTube channel. I'll just throw those out real quick. So we'll be back next week to continue talking about Sharn. I want to thank my guests today, Asheris, Arcot, Axel, and Nimvin. Let's see, if you want to support the show, you can visit our website, DDOCast.com, or you can support us on Patreon. You can also find show notes, past shows, and more on our website. You can also find us on social media and follow us for latest cast updates. I'm at DDOCast on Twitter. If you'd like to join the discussion, you can leave a comment, email us, DDOCast@gmail.com. Let us know what you thought about the pack kind of as a whole, quick look, and what you thought about the storyline quest. And we'll be back and talk about the cogs and some other stuff next time. So until next time, may all your attack rolls be crits, all your chest level appropriate, have fun, and don't forget to gather for buffs.